Monday, October 6th, if anyone comes across the article, Washington Post published an article entitled "How Some Veterans Exploit $193 billion VA Program Due to Lax Controls." Long article, incredibly misleading, lots of holes in their arguments, and it directly attacks veterans and their disability benefits. And so it's stirred up a lot of conversation in the veteran community, with veteran organizations, particularly here in DC, and has sort of prompted us to have this laundry list of items to kind of go through. One, to kind of debunk some of the claims, and to get the record straight. Some of the data is accurate, but the way it's portrayed is completely inaccurate and really paints a negative picture of veterans and why we might have benefits.
Right.
Some more background here too. So, I mean, Pat last year in Task and Purpose on Thanksgiving Day, The Economist published that veterans' benefits were absurdly generous. Pat responded in kind in Task and Purpose, which I'm sure you'll get to here in a minute.
It wasn't very kind.
Yes, it wasn't very kind at all. But also, this isn't the first time that the Washington Post has taken a shot at veterans' benefits. As a matter of fact, after The Economist, after the Washington Post editorial board, after the Congressional Budget Office talked about cutting veterans' benefit programs, that's when our esteemed legislative director, Christina Keenan, coined "honor the contract."
Yes.
What's disappointing about this Washington Post article, though, is each of these bullet points that we have on here, some of these were addressed in there through very bad faith arguments or even old tropes that, quite frankly, the VFW's seen before.
That's right.
Honor the contract, that image that's on the Grunt Style t-shirt is from the 1930s when the VFW was talking about the Economy Act that actually did cut veterans' benefits. But then, Rob, you were going through our archive yesterday.
Yes.
And found something from 1956.
Oh, yes.
Called the Bradley Commission.
Uh-oh.
Where, there's a firing squad.
Let's get over there to Ryan. Let's get a little, there we go.
You might be seeing this a little bit later on social media today.
Well, you might.
Where the Bradley Commission actually came up with some of the recommendations that we saw from CBO and that we saw the Washington Post regurgitate about how veterans don't deserve service-connected disability payments 30% or below. So just really, look, these bad faith arguments have been around since the 1930s, and it seems like every time a war sunsets, you get a few years removed from it. Think about that, 1933, that's post-World War I.
Right.
The Great Depression, 1956, post-World War II.
Yep.
And Americans are just like, ow, that was really expensive.
Well, yeah, it was just actually also 3 years after Korea.
Yep.
So this had happened. Let's see. It was like we had gone into it, and it was like the Hoover Commission first. That's why in that particular cartoon it says the Hoover Commission, and then it says the Bradley Commission because they were hitting on a lot of the same things. But it was like, just so happens to be like just a few years removed from when the war ended, and then they're automatically calling for them to cut benefits. It's amazing how that is. Hence why we came up with this particular graphic, which you see on our screen, or if you're watching and you see it. We offer this. We went in with Grunt Style to put these shirts together because they're like valued organization as us. And that cartoon comes from the 1930s. So, you know what? Thanks a lot there, Washington Post. Time for some more merchandise.
Yeah, but think about what you just said, right? Post-war, let's make some cuts, generally by people that haven't served.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, we actually discovered today that Herbert Hoover didn't serve. I'm sorry. Maybe I should be a little bit more on my presidential history and biographies, but he didn't serve.
And it's out of sight, out of mind, right?
That's right.
It doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
So therefore, well, Deb, we'll just take that away because I don't feel that you earned it. I'm going to bet that the people that have catastrophic injuries would disagree, and people that have gone through some serious mental health issues would also disagree that this deserves to be removed.
The article itself says very little about the 20 years of conflict that today's veterans have gone through, and for many, multiple deployments. Toxic exposures, combat experience, mental health trauma. So, it's no wonder that we've advocated for laws to change, that VA has been on board in helping veterans understand their benefits, get their benefits. There's a lot of negativity around the benefits without the backstory of 20 years of conflict. It's just the elephant in the room that they're not really addressing in this article.
Yeah.
And if you ignore that, it does seem like, oh yes, there's been a huge increase in benefits, and we have more veterans with injuries that need to be taken care of. And once we pass laws that addressed some of those very serious cancers and respiratory conditions, I mean, people are sick and need those benefits.
Yeah.
So Christina, are you saying that 25 years of sending the same people over and over into a toxic meat grinder has somehow exacerbated service-connected conditions?
It's shocking, really.
Wow.
But isn't that logical?
Huh.
And why that is conveniently
Ryan,
left out of the argument.
The Economist used that same lazy 2001 backstop to compare all their numbers to, but intentionally failed to mention why 2001, since 2001 is an important distinction when they say that things have increased since 2001. Then they end their sentence. That added context of, well, that's when we went into a 20-plus year war. Not adding that is disingenuous, is lazy. That's bad journalism. That's intentionally misleading. That's trying to prove a point by hiding the ball. I think that's it's the folks at Washington Post did the exact same thing that they did a couple years before that, and what the Economist did the year before.
It seems like a steady drumbeat. There's a couple other bad faith arguments in there when you talk about emerging science and knowledge. So they put these fancy charts in that talk about, oh, there's been this increase in veterans' benefits, and wow, how could that be? Well, not only is it the same group of people taking advantage of, but first of all, science has advanced.
Yeah.
Science has advanced. We know more. The PACT Act that you and Pat were on the steps of the Capitol advocating for is still cleaning up nuclear testing issues and Agent Orange issues. That was that's in the PACT Act. So I want to get to one of the issues that's on here to just kind of set a baseline for our listeners and our viewers. There's a lot of talk in this article and a lot of bullshit out there, frankly, about, you can fake it, you can do this, you can do that. But Mike, you're the expert here. You're our national service director. You train this to our accredited reps. What are the 3 things that need to be established as fact for VA to service-connected disability?
You have to have an injury or illness.
A current diagnosis, right?
Current diagnosis,
yeah.
And a nexus between the two. Meaning, if you had an injury or illness occurring while you were in active duty or you're in orders, and then you have evidence that shows it occurred during service, and then a medical opinion that says your service caused that injury or illness, you've met the 3 requirements for service connection. It's very simple. Outside of that, you're missing one of those 3 things, it's not service connectable.
And this is, I think I found this kind of really off-putting about not just this article, but then this whole dialogue on veterans benefits and this notion that you can get things you can't deserve. So can, if you're filing a claim, can I write a medical opinion that you have a condition?
If you have knowledge of it in some way, you could write a lay statement and say that I suffer from X, Y, and Z. You've observed it.
But can I diagnose you?
No, unless you're a medical qualified professional, you cannot.
I'm not. I'm not a doctor. So a doctor needs to diagnose you.
Yes.
All right.
Pretty simple, huh?
Yeah. So once you have that diagnosis, it's a medical fact.
Correct.
You can't really fake a diagnosis.
You are correct.
All right.
All right. Well, it seems like that's a scam. No, I'm just kidding. Right? Isn't that what the magazine's saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, veterans are scamming.
But that's why I wanted to ask that, because, there's so much about, well, is it really this? Is it really that? Well, look, it's really those 3 simple principles: a current diagnosis of a chronic medical condition, an incident or an incident or documentation of in-service event, and then a medical nexus linking the two. A veteran can't concoct that except in fraudulent situations, which we'll talk about later.
That.
Because there is fraud that veterans need to know about. But if you're talking about veterans who are filing for benefits now and getting those grants, they have to establish those three things. Period.
Right.
There's no two ways about it.